This video is about review for calculus, calculator-based. 1a. All lengths in this question are in meters. Consider the function f of x equals this for x between -2 and 2. In the following diagram, the shaded region is enclosed by the graph f and the x-axis. A container can be modeled by rotating this region by 360 degrees about x-axis. Find the volume of the container. According to the formula given in the booklet, we got to use this formula to figure out the volume. So volume equals, we put the pi outside. Then we get the definite integral f of x squared. Then from -2 to 2. Then we plug in this, so you get the pi times. Here's -2 to 2. Then square root 4 minus x squared over 8 squared. Then dx. So we put into calculator, you will get. When you put this into graphing calculator, remember, normally we put y1 equals a function, so that when we pull out to the main screen, we do the y1 square. It's much easier when you do square root 4 minus x squared over 8 than do square. It's much easier than that. So your answer is 4.19. 4.19. For 1b, water can flow in and out the container. The volume of water in the container is given by the function g of t for t between 0 to 4, where t is measured in hours and g of t is measured in meter cubed. The rate of change of volume of water in the container is given by this function. The volume of water of container is increasing only when t between p and q. Find the value of p and q. The volume of water of the container is increasing, which means your g prime, that's derivative has to be positive, means increasing. Therefore, you will put the y1 in this g prime function. We will set up the window like this. For y, it doesn't matter. You just need to make sure the domain has to use the given domain. Then you sketch the graph, get these two zeros. This point is 1.73. This point is 3.56. Greater than 0, that means this line. Therefore, we got the p equals 1.73 and q equals 3.56. Now let's go to 1c. During the interval t greater than p less than q, the volume of water in the container increases by k meters cubed. Find the value of k. As we know, the volume of water in container given by this g of t function. Therefore, during the interval t between p and q, the increased volume of water, we will get g of q minus g of p. This will be the k. How you get the g of q minus g of p? We can do the integral of this. So we get the integral 1.73 to 3.56 g prime t dt. There are two ways to work this out. y1, we put in this function. Then we can do integral on the graph. You will get the 3.75. Or you can pull out on the main screen of your calculator, put like this. You will get the same answer. So 3.75. That will be K. For 1D, when D equals 0, the volume of water in the container is 2.5 meter cubed. It's known that the container is never completely full of water during the 4-hour period. Find the minimum volume of empty space in the container during the 4-hour period. We know this graph shows G prime of T. That means the rate of change of the volume of water. This point will be maximum point of G of T. Because look at the graph, this is a decreasing, which means the second derivative is less than 0. So the graph like this. This is a maximum point. This point is a minimum point. Because G double prime of T is greater than 0. Since this is an increasing function. Therefore, we want to figure out the minimum volume of an empty set, which means use volume of a container. Subtract maximum volume of water. Volume of container, that's 4.19. We figure out from 1A. Maximum volume of water, we already know this point. So we get from 0 to 3.56. G prime of T dt. This shows the increased volume. From T between 0 to 3.56. We know the original volume of water is 2.3, so we add 2.3. This will be the maximum volume of water. Then we use 4.19 subtract. When you put into calculator, you will get 4.19 minus 3.86. That is 0.33. Let's go to 2A. A particle moves along a straight line so that its velocity after t seconds is given by this function. For t is between 0 to 5, find when the particle is at rest. Particle is at rest means velocity equals to 0. Therefore, you will go to y equals, plug this in. And for the window, we will set up like this. It's the time between 0 to 5 because given here. For the y, you decide. You can put the negative 10, 10, 1. It doesn't matter. Then you will get this 0, 2.95. So t equals 2.95. Then the particle is at rest. Now let's go to 2b. Find the acceleration of the particle when t equals 2. For displacement, we do derivative, you will get velocity. Then velocity, you do the derivative, get acceleration. For integral acceleration, you will get velocity. For velocity, you do the integral, you will get displacement. Remember these 4 rules. Therefore, we just need to figure out v prime of 2. Remember, this paper is calculator based, so try to do integral and derivative by graphing calculator. We already put the y1 equals velocity function. Then you can do the derivative, get the answer, that is 0.659. Now let's go to 2C. Find the total distance traveled by the particle. Total distance traveled by the particle given the formula like this. Therefore, we will get distance equals from 0 to 5, absolute value v of t, then dt. After we put into calculator, you will get 5.35. Let's go to 3a. Let f of x equals this. For x is all real numbers. The graph of f passed through the point P4. Find the value of P. Whenever you see the graph passing through a point, basically it's a plug-in game. So we plug x equals p and y equals 4 to this function. You will get the 4 equals 6 minus natural log of p squared plus 2. Then we solve this logarithm function. In your mind, remember, this is a calculator based. So whenever you have equation, try to solve by calculator, not by hand. When you solve any equation by using graphing calculator, make sure you get the f of x equals to 0.4. Even you using graph to solve the equation, or you using the equation solver. Therefore, I will move this 4 to the right side. You will get 0. So get a 6 minus 4 minus natural log of p squared plus 2. So I put this into this y1. Then get the 0, that is 2.23. Because the p is positive, therefore you will get the p equals 2.32. Remember 3 significant digits. 3b, the following diagram shows part of a graph of f. The region enclosed by the graph of f, the x-axis and the line y equals negative p, x equals p, is rotated 360 degrees above x-axis. Then find the volume of a solid formed. From 3a, we know the p equals 2.32. According to this formula, we can get the volume equals pi. Do the integral for f of x squared from negative 2.32 to 2.32 dx. we put into calculator, you will get. When you use graphing calculator, remember the y1, that's the f of x. And then using the formula like this, and put into calculator, you will get 332. This will be the volume. Let's go to 4a. In this question, distance is in meters and time is in seconds. A particle P moves in a straight line for 5 seconds. Its acceleration at time t is given by this function. Write down the value of t when a equals 0. Remember, this question is calculator based, so we put this into graphing calculator to get the 0. So we put this function into y1. The domain, I use the given domain in the question. Then you will get the x equals 0.667, that's t equals 0.667, that's t1. T2 equals 4. For 4b, hence or otherwise, find all possible values of t. When we see all possible values of t, that's kind of like inequality for which the velocity of a p is decreasing. We know the relationship between acceleration and velocity, that's the derivative of a velocity equals acceleration. Therefore, if velocity is decreasing, which means derivative of t less than 0. In other words, the a less than 0. From the graph, we see from here to here, that's a of t less than 0. Therefore, all possible value of t will be between 0.667 to 4. This will be the solution to 4b. For 4c, when t equals 0, the velocity of a p equals 3 meters over second. Find the expression for the velocity of a p at time t. We know velocity of t equals integral acceleration of t. So we plug in, we have 3t squared minus 14t plus 8. Then do the integral. So we get 3 times t third power over 3 minus 14 times t squared over 2 plus 8t. Don't forget you plus c. This will be velocity of t. Then we simplify. You will get the t third power minus 7t squared plus 8t plus c. Then according to the given information, when t equals 0, velocity equals 3. So we have v of 0 equals 0 third power minus 7 times 0 squared plus 8 times 0 plus c equals 3. We got the c equals 3. Therefore, velocity function equals t to the third power minus 7t squared plus 8t plus 3. For D, find the total distance traveled by P when its velocity is increasing. Velocity is increasing. Means the derivative of t greater than 0. This is a, so which means a greater than 0. From this function, this is a of t function. We have two parts. The velocity is increasing from 0 to 0.667 and from 4 to this 5. So we get from 0 to 0.667 and from 4 to 5. Therefore, the distance formula is this. You will get from 0 to 0.667 velocity. We do the absolute value. Then plus from 4 to 5, do the integral of velocity function. Remember this absolute value of velocity function. This equals the distance. I will put y2 into this velocity function. Therefore, here you have to do the y2, absolute value of y2 from 0 to 0.667. That is 3.14 plus 11.1. That is 14.24, which means 14.2. That will be the answer. Let's go to 5a. The following diagram shows the graph f of x equals a sin bx plus c for x between 0 to 12. The graph of f has minimum point 3, 5. Then the maximum point, that's 9, 17. Find the value of c. Let's go over the trig function. If we have this trig function, we know the d, we call this is a midline, equals maximum plus minimum over 2. For a, we call this is an amplitude, equals maximum minus minimum over 2. For period, that equals 2 pi over b. And also we can use 2 times this x maximum minus x, here's the minimum. We do absolute value, then you times 2. Therefore, let's go back to this question. We're looking for c. This c is the midline. Therefore, equals maximum 17 plus 5 over 2 equals 11. For this a, you do the 17 minus 5 over 2 equals 6. Show that this b equals pi over 6. We know the period equals 2 times absolute value. Using this 9 minus 3, you will get 12. Then also I can write down 2 pi over b. That's for here is 2 pi over this small b equals 12. And cross multiply, b equals 2 pi over 12. That's pi over 6. That's how you show the work, like this. Let's go to 5b. The graph of G is obtained from the graph of f by translation of 0k. This is a vector. The maximum point on the graph G has coordinate 11.5, 17. Write down the value of k. according to this translation, which means this is x, y. So for x, either you go to the right or left. For y, you go up and down. Y don't change, only x change. So this 9 plus this 9, u plus k equals to 11.5, which means k equals 2.5. Which means the function moved to the right 2.5 units. Therefore, from f of x, we got 6 sine pi over 6 x plus 11. We can get the g of x equals 6 sine pi over 6 x minus 2.5, then plus 11. When you move to the right, remember, insider is a liar. That's the reason here is minus 2.5. Now let's go to 5c. The graph of g changes from concave up to concave down when x equals w. Find w. Since at x equals w, it changes from concave up to concave down. That means this w is an inflection point, which means the second derivative equals to 0. Now we put y1, that's g of x. This will be g prime of x. And this is the second derivative of g of x. This graph shows to you the second derivative. Since we're looking for concave up to concave down, concave up, that means for the second derivative is positive. Concave down means the second derivative is negative. From positive to negative is this point. We set up this equals to 0 because this inflection point. Therefore, the w equals 2.5. That's the first question. The second question, hence find the maximum positive rate of change of g. Rate of change of g, that means the first derivative. In other words, we're looking for the maximum of the first derivative function. Therefore, we highlight this y2. This will be the g prime of x. Basically, it's y2. Then get the maximum point. That will be 3.14. That's the answer.